afternoon, everyone. I laugh at the title, Empress of Influence. What in the world did it take to get to this journey? This is my second keynote at Harvard University. The last one was 4 years ago, a week right before the world shut down. Today, I am with esteemed colleagues, with royalties, with trailblazers, but I'm here to ask you one critical, important question. What does true impact really mean? What is it? In a world that has distorted lies of what success looks like, what real influences, in a world that purchases followers just so that we could have an illusion that people are following us, it's time to disrupt the narrative. Time to disrupt the narrative, ladies and gentlemen. Because if wealth and fame equaled happiness and impact, kindly explained, Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, and Kate Spade. The suicide that affected me the most in a celebrity was Robin Williams. He was very giving, very loving, very voluntary, and then one day he was gone. And yet he made the world happy. But yet, if you look at the other picture, in the current situations of the world, wars between Israel and Pakistan, wars between Ukraine and Russia, more wars. How is it that a father, this is an award-winning photo, found in the middle of a bombed-out area, a bathtub, and put his children there? What do you see? Happiness, family, love. When I came across that image, it completely disrupted my thinking of impact. You see, I'm going to take you a little bit of a journey of how I became who I am today. I was a victim of government corruption at a young age. My parents were well-to-do in the Philippines, huge in philanthropy, huge in humanitarianism, and my father taught me at a little age, knee-high, Melody, never let success get so much in your head that you forget to help the people who needs you the most. Imagine the lesson. He was a medical doctor who volunteered his services year after year, day after day, and he took an oath to save people's lives, not build them dry or bleed them dry. He was a chief of staff at 2 hospitals. So I lived a life of comfort, attending private schools, and one day, just like that, it changed. What happened? Well, being that my parents are just loving people, they took on a distant relative who was having a hard time making ends meet. In this particular journey of my uncle's life, he came across government corruption. And for that information, he was kidnapped right in front of my mom. He was brutally murdered after being tortured for 2 days. And because he lived with us, guess who they came after? My family. So my last recollection of the country where I was born in the Philippines was being yanked out of school, disappearing in the middle of the night with a white van waiting. No goodbyes. No I love yous. Separated from my father. And we disappeared to start life in the United States, in a life of struggle. My mother went from being an entrepreneur, corporate executive, to working at a 7-Eleven, making $3 an hour. My sister and I had maids. We found ourselves sleeping on the floor. Now, fast forward to a life of struggle. Let's just go with this. 2013 becomes a catalyst game changer. The Philippines gets hit with a massive typhoon that kills over 7,000 people. And in here, I said, I have to do something about that country I left. So I did. And it wasn't about donating to Red Cross or donating to a charity. Instead, comes the first lesson. I decided that I was good enough to take an action, small as it may be, and launch a humanitarian benefit concert, because I do sing, except that God had other plans. When you involve God in your plans, he does something pretty massive, pretty radical. And in 3 weeks, I had a small humanitarian benefit concert and kept just hearing this number 20. Before I could ask for help, support came. This now blows up what's it's called One Night, One Voice. It ends up saving over 50,000 lives. 50,000 lives halfway around the world. In fact, tomorrow marks its 12th anniversary. But it didn't stop there. You see, God is a God of humor. 2016, he says, you better start UNICEF. And I'm like, and do what? I don't want to fundraise. And he said, humanize the statistics. Use every gift I have given you. You see, what we tolerate becomes the standard. It is the real versus the real. Right? The Instagram life or the real life. Because I've traveled across the world. I have since then led. I went in front of Capitol Hill, not knowing anything about politics. And I'm going, what am I doing here? God says, you'll see. You see, One Night, One Voice was just your startup. That was your warm-up. 50,000, that's nothing. I'm going to put you to lead 192 countries in children's global advocacy. You get to humanize the statistics because you know how it feels. You felt that pain. So I said, okay, and please, dear Lord, do not let these politicians ask me anything about politics because I know nothing about it, and that was 8 years ago. Fast forward 8 years later, I have led successfully 53 congressional advocacy teams, 53 congressional advocacy meetings in Capitol Hill, met with senators, ended 13 states' child marriage laws in the United States out of 50. Right? Started traveling the world, met with the Dalai Lama, met with the princes of Morocco, challenging them on leadership. And many other worlds. I found myself sharing platforms with Michelle Obama, going, what am I doing here? God says, watch. Open your mouth. Right? Disrupt with truth. Bring me in the conversation. Hold them to a higher standard of realizing what the human value is. What is the value of a human life? And then I went to a different adventure and decided, maybe it's time to grow the Justice League system in consulting. So SoulScript Global was born. That became Batman, Iron Man in cybersecurity, Batman in business innovations. They all have their lovely nicknames for me. But we became so strong in disrupting media narratives by saying truth in media, youth development and youth empowerment, mentoring the youth, education systems, public relations, you name it. I just basically wanted to build an ecosystem of solutions. In fact, a billionaire asked me recently, Melody, what has been the greatest accomplishment of your life? And I had to think about it for a minute. And I traced every single part of my history. And I went, got it. I built an ecosystem of solutions that disrupted human suffering, be it in business, personal development, humanitarianism, women empowerment, to the ladies, right? I saw God in each human. Because if we were worth his son's death, then what is the value of human life? So I'll leave you with this. Overcoming adversity, that's everybody's story. What you do with it is true impact, because it goes beyond your own ecosystem. Are you strong enough to stand for the truth and tell media, tell government, we need to work together and bring you back to the root of why you took your oath to serve humanity? You see, validation by social media is a dying breed. Validation by as seen on, in fact, yesterday I was sharing with Mark here, I had a billboard on Times Square, gifted. It was viewed 8 million times. My face was all over Times Square. I didn't even know about it. It's apparently going to be there on New Year's Eve again. I don't know what God is doing, but that is what a faith like a mustard seed does. So, ladies and gentlemen, stand up. Stand up. And please repeat this after me. I am a disruptor, a real impactor, and I am here to honor the value of a human life. My name is Ambassador Dr. Melody Garcia, at your service.